Hello there, Joy here again. I am in the midst of kind of a caning frenzy. It's been a long time since I did any caning, and so once I got it back out, I got all excited and I started doing all sorts of fun stuff. And so I've got a few different videos that I'm working on right now, and one of them, the newest one that I haven't gotten very far with, actually involves this guy, my extruder. And I've dug him out, and he's my second or third extruder because I think I killed the first one. Somehow or other I broke the handle. So this is the set that I've got. I got this from Michael's. It's Walnut Hollow is what the brand is. And with it, I have made or pre-made a bunch of stuff. I did some straight black thin pieces. And I did that because I want to use this as dividing lines between some of the other shapes. My thought here is I'm making something that's going to look kind of like a cross between a quilt and a stained glass. I want the black to be in the centers of the various pieces to make the pattern. So that's where the stained glass bit comes in. So I also took my square extruder piece and I have made these colors in squares. And I'm using the same colors I've been using for the last few days for all of my canes because that's all I have at the moment. So I've got leftovers from my ocean colors, I've got white, I've got this god-awful green that I really don't like, but I've got it. And it's a nice contrast. So this is what I'm working with for squares. These have all been made into squares. They're all different lengths, kind of just because it was coming out of the extruder in big long strings and I cut it kind of as I was going because once it gets too long it starts getting distorted. And then I started on the triangles. So if you can see the ends of that, they are triangular. And I've got a whole bunch of triangles going on. I've got red triangles. I've got lots of red triangles because of the contrast I thought they would make. So I actually have twice as many red as anything else. I've got, again, this, what they call blue, but I call ultramarine because to me that's what it is. And I've got some of these in the teal pearl, it's called. I did that one after my white, as you can see, so there's a little touch of white on it, but it's not actually in the cane, it's just on the outside edge. So I don't think it'll make a difference. And I've got white. So I haven't figured out what I'm going to do with these yet. The only thing I do know is this is probably going to be my center because I have less of it than everything else. So the first thing I have to do is decide on a length. And to me it makes sense to pick my shortest length, which is about like this, and that's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to be trimming bits and pieces. I can always put them back through the extruder again for more if I need to, although I have taken the time to clean it all, and I hate cleaning my extruder. It's the worst part of the whole damn ordeal is trying to clean the stupid extruder. Why they can't make an easy clean extruder is beyond me. You gotta get toothpicks and pick things out of all the threads. Oh. It's almost not worth using it sometimes just because of the cleanup. So I've got this fella. Now I have two different sizes that make this skinny little stripe. And one of them was, and they should really do this when they're making extruder bits. They should figure out that if you're putting the shapes together, you're going to need a stripe that's the same width as your square or your triangle or whatever. And for whatever reason, they don't really match up the sizes. They're a little bit different. That one almost matches, but like one side's a little tiny bit smaller than the length of that square, one side's a little tiny bit bigger than Why they wouldn't match it up is beyond me. You're putting pieces through it, you're going to use it for something, you might want to use them together. So the other stripe was 2/3 maybe of the width of the actual square extruded cane, which frustrated me. But anyways, sorry, I'm going to move some of these so that I'm not tripping over them. So I made the bigger one, and I'm going to have to trim, the entire time we're doing this, I'm going to have to trim the width, which is why it frustrates me. If they're, like, people think these things through ahead of time, they should realize, and maybe it's a scam, maybe there's another set you have to buy where all the pieces all match, and the whole idea is to force you to buy more stuff. I don't know. It's like the hot dogs and the hot dog buns. Why they wouldn't make a match when they know you're going to use them together is beyond me. It's just annoying. So now that I've ranted and I've moved some of this stuff, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my black guy, and again, this might be a little awkward for me to do simply because I can't really see very well because I'm leaning way across my island, but that's where the only place I have that I can hang my camera from is for my pendant light. So excuse me if it's not perfect because it's a bad angle, basically is what I'm trying to say. So I'm trimming the black piece as well as I can to match the side. And so I'm probably going to have to extrude that black because I'm going to run out at some point having to trim all this. But I'm going to do each side so that it's boxed in black. That's the plan. So I'm lining up the outside edge, sticking it down a little bit so it doesn't move. And in the background you will yet again hear my dog whining because he came in all of 3 minutes ago and now he wants back out. I don't think he actually wants out. I think he's just antsy because he's itchy and he doesn't know what to do with himself, so he paces and he moans. Alright, so I have two sides encased in black, as you can see. This one long enough? Of course not. That would be too easy. We'll start on another one. As close to the edge as I can get it. Cut the length. I haven't done videos for polymer clay in a very long time, and yet today, all of a sudden, I'm just, well, not today, today, I'm going a little whole hog here because I've had withdrawals, and now that I have everything out to play with, I'm having fun with it. So this one, I don't think I need to trim this side because it's overhanging just about the right amount. So I'm going to save myself one trim. And I don't think that's worthwhile to trim that. I don't think I really can anyways. Well, maybe. It's just enough to get a wee smidge off of. Alright, so we now have a green square boxed in with black. And it's nice to be able to get a nice straight shape all lined up. It's one of the things extruders are nice for. If only they would line everything up and make them the same size. That's my peeve. So now we have to decide where to go next. And I'm assuming that what I want to do here is put a triangle. So the idea here I'm trying to figure out is, do I want the triangle to go this way, so it ends up being a big diamond shape? Do I want it to go this way and end up with like a pinwheelish kind of thing going on? In which case I would put another color in another triangle the other direction, like so. And that could make a pattern of some form. So I could do that. Or I could do this. Now if I do this on each side, then in theory, I'm just going by shapes here, not by colors. In theory, I have to fill in, it should turn out to be a square by the time I get all the corners together. And then I put my black on the outside. It should turn out to be a square center. And then I can do other things with it. So I think I like the red and the black and the green because of the contrast. So yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to push that down, and I'm trying to center it in my black section. And maybe having the black in between kind of conceals the fact that they're not quite the same length as the square in the center. Maybe it'll kind of help me hide that fact. So once I get that there, I need to trim it. The difficult part with this whole thing is I'm going to have all these points sticking up everywhere. So if I lay it down on the wrong side, it's going to flatten out my shape. So you have to be kind of careful not to do that. You're going to be hanging on to this. At some point I might have to stop and cool it because my hands are going to warm it up. So we're just going to continue on for now though. So we're going to put this one in the center and push it down. We're going to take the other end to the center and push it down to stick it, and then we're going to try and line it up in the middle of the black stripe again. And trim. I'm going to have all these little bits and pieces of different colors. So I have one more red. Center on that end. Center on this end, and now that it's almost square again, it should be easier to lay it down to do things. Oh, I love my dog, I love my dog, I love my dog. I'm trying to remind myself. Okay, so we should be more or less back to square, as you can see. So now, see, this is where I'm going to run out of the black really quickly. It's because what I'd like to do, now I don't have to do the whole thing, I suppose. I could just do the center, and that would leave me with red bits touching other colors, which might be cool in the pattern end of things. It might make a nice pattern to have different color stripes. So maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I won't try to cover the whole black part. I will just cover the center of each. That will also save me having to extrude a whole bunch more black. I probably will have to at some point, because obviously I didn't make enough. Mostly because I have to open up another package of clay. And I just hadn't gotten to it yet. Yep, I'm going to run out really fast. I'm having a hard time finding my center because, like I said, I'm leaning way over. And from my side, it looks different. When I stand it up, it looks like it's in the center. When I stand it up and look at it, it's not even close. So obviously I need to cut a little piece for that. I just wanted to see if I put these two pieces together on this side, if I'd have the right amount left over for that. I'm not a mean person. I'm ignoring the dog because he just came in. All right, so yes, I do have enough. Okay, so we're going to make it work. Fake it till you make it, kind of a thing. Fake it till you make it. I'm just going to smooth out those seams a little bit and trim. And then I will show you the pattern that we've come up with. So far, I think that's pretty cool. Hopefully you get enough light. Maybe it's better light down here. The problem with putting my camera under my pendant light is that it's blocking the light. So I have a big lamp right here. Maybe I'll hold it down here so you can see. So that's what we have so far. Now, what are we going to do next? Put some white up against the black. Put some white in the corners. We could totally go off the reservation and start doing this and then start filling in. Maybe that's what we'll do, because I like to be weird. Why do the expected? So if I do that, I'm going to let him out just to shut him up. He's driving me crazy. Excuse me for a sec. You better be out there for more than half a minute. All right. Now you'll know why he makes me crazy, because in about 2 minutes or so, he's going to be scratching at the other side of the door. If he would just go out and stay out for a while, it'd be okay. It's like having kids. It's like when kids in the summertime and they go in, they go out, they go in. Oh, it's frustrating. This is not a straight edge, so I'm just going to make that straight. I'll probably find out later that I needed that much extra length. So I'm just trying to line up and stick it before it falls off so I can line up the other side. And we have to try and go straight down the center of this ridge. So it's not the easiest thing to line up, especially when I can't really set the cane down very well. But we'll do our best. So this is what we've got so far. I think it's kind of cool. I'm probably going to have to join some of these little short pieces together as well to get the length on the last side. I think we've got that more or less centered. So we'll trim that. Give everything a push to see if I can't get it to stick together well. And check both ends. This is a mistake I make. Sometimes I get going and I forget to check the other end, and the other end is totally not centered. But by then I've got it good and glued down. So I'm going to try and use my two shorter ones just to use them up. So he's going right down the middle of that red stripe. Like so. I'm going to get that as close to joined as I can, closely joined as I can, and give them all a push and a little smooth, because I don't want that seam to be visible. See how many minutes was that? That wasn't very long, was it? And he's not patient, so in half a second more he's going to, there we go. See, scratch again. Mommy doesn't answer right the second you want it, scratch again. Got a little tiny air bubble in that particular one, but hopefully that goes away when we start reducing. So I don't have much white left in the squares, but so far I think that's cool. I'm just going to let you look at that for a minute while I let my pain in the ass in. I should do some sort of pool where whoever guesses how many times I have to let him in and out during a video gets to a prize of some sort. All right. So these are the squares that I have left. Why I only made, I think because that's all I had left. I think that's why I don't have very much of this. But anyhow, so I'm kind of liking the idea of putting the blue, and I don't have a lot of the blue either. So this may not work well, or I may only be able to do two sides. So we shall see. Maybe that'll be my interest, is if I end up doing something in blue that's not symmetrical. Maybe that will work that way. Try to get this centered like so. And then I'm going to trim them like so. He's not totally centered. Oops. All right, so what do I have left for squares? All right, this is where our ugly green one's going to come in, I betcha. So we're going to start being no longer symmetrical, and this is where we're probably going to get something interesting in our pattern. It always ends up being that one little weird thing that doesn't seem to match or go anywhere that ends up making the interest in the pattern. And in this case, it's going to be this one thing of green in amongst the blues. So we're going to have one dark blue one on this side, we're going to have one weird green one on that side. This will probably be interesting somewhere along the line. All right, so put all our scraps over here. So this is what we have so far. And I'm just going to start pushing a little bit to make sure I'm glued. So as you can see, I'm going to have to start putting some of my triangles in to fill the gaps. So I have 4 of these red ones. And I have to figure out which spaces I want. So I can do like this. That one's kind of yucky looking. I can do it like this and like this and make that pattern, which is kind of cool. I could do that here and here as well. Or I can do it on the one side. That's right there. I can do it on the one side, I guess it would be the right side, whichever way you look at it, of the square piece. And that would mean it would come out like that. So that would have more of a pinwheel shape. The other one was more of a fan shape. So I could do that, and then I'll fill the opposite ones with a different color. Right. I kind of like this better. What I'm trying to decide is if I want them both to be red. I think I'm gonna kind of have to. I'm trying to figure out, I'm just looking at the other colors that I have available. That's what I'm looking at, because I have white. I don't want to put white with white. And I have the dark blue, and I don't want to put the dark blue with the dark blue. And I have this blue, so I'm covering up this blue because I'm going to have to use it somewhere here. I don't want blue against blue. That doesn't make sense. So that's why I'm putting the red beside the blues. That solves that problem. So we're just fitting those in there, and they actually do fit fairly well, like so. And then we're going to do our other side. We're just pushing it right down in there as far as we can. Oops. Because there is quite a deep groove there. We want to try and get all the way down into the center of that groove. So now we have to trim off all these weird ends that are sticking out. Works better if you can trim it while laying it flat. So try and roll it around to get it where you need it. Bunch of red left over. Okay. So this is where we're at. Now, as I said, what I have left for triangles, I have the blues. I have these nice dark ones that I haven't done much with yet. And I have the whites. And since we're putting it beside whites, that kind of rules these out. So they may not even get used. Who knows? Maybe I'll put them through the pasta maker and get a wrap for the outside or something. I could wrap both of these, although if I do, then I don't get as much pattern out of it. So we'll see. Now I don't want to put the blue beside the blue, but maybe what I want to do is I want to put the blue beside the green. I keep putting this in backwards there. Maybe I want to put the blue beside the green, like so. And then put this blue beside that blue. Like so. Whoops, wrong one. Maybe I want to do this. What do we think? We think we wish we had a different color. Okay. So, what I have here is I have a dilemma. And what I'm going to do is get this stuff out of my way. Because in my head, what I just decided is that I do like having the blue beside the green, like so. So I'm going to put these in there. But I kind of like the idea, I do like symmetry. I really do like symmetry. It just makes more sense to me. So in which case, I do have some of this god-awful ugly green sitting here beside me. And my thought was that I could put this, it's called string bean. So my thought was I could put this through the extruder. God help me clean the stupid extruder again. And I could do that in order to make triangles to put in here. And that way on this side we've got green with the blue, and on this side we've got blue with the green. So when we put these together, we're going to have triangle, triangle, square of the same color. So it's going to be like a three-part thing. So that's my thought. And as much as I hate having to clean this darn thing again, I like the idea of the pattern. So pardon me for a moment. I'm going to go and I'm going to extrude myself some green. Okay, we're back. So I've gone and extruded some green. So here we go. That's going to fit in there nicely, I hope. And I like the symmetry of that. I always put the wrong side in first. I like the symmetry of the fact that it's not perfectly symmetrical, however, it's opposite each other. So it makes a certain sort of sense to my poor head. So this is what we've got for a pattern so far. This part hasn't gone all the way down in the groove. There, that's what we've got for a pattern so far. And we're going to trim this off. Now, while I had the camera turned off, I figured I would save you the joys of listening to my... I just cut off two pieces. Where'd it go? There it is. This is all. This is all I have left of my red. I do have some more white if I need it, but I didn't want you to have to listen to the pasta maker. So while I was at it, I put a few things through the pasta machine. I got out some more black. I put the last of the red through the pasta machine. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cut it to length because I want to add, some sort of interest. And there's only so much you can do when you only have this much left. But what I thought I would do is I would cut it into two strips. Hopefully equal strips if I can eye it up fairly well. So I now have two equal strips, and I want to put this somewhere on the pattern to add something to it. Now I could put it here so it's making a bridge between the other reds, like so. So then it carries over. I could put it here where it's totally not belonging, but it's a nice color contrast. I could put it somewhere totally weird and just do something like that on either side. So one side is different than the other, and that gives it some interest. So I could do that on that side and then do the other one over here on this side, and they would be opposing. Or I could do it here and here so that it makes a little pattern in this area. So I don't want to put it here, I don't think. I don't want to interfere with the pattern that's going on there. I might put white there to do that. And I don't think I like the idea of just having a line across here. It would end up being, I don't know, it would end up being 4 triangles with a line in the middle. Not really very interesting. So I do kind of like the idea of having it up against my white. So I'm going to do that here. Like so. And I'm going to, I thought that was my blade. I went to grab my blade and I did not grab my blade. So I don't want it to cover the blue. I want it butt up against the blue. But I also don't want it to screw up my triangle shape. So I'm just going to trim it, and I'm going to mark it there and mark it there. And I'm marking where it meets the other red triangle. And then I'm going to try and line up my marks like so and pull off that strip. Something about going through the machines and stuff makes it really soft. I noticed that when I extruded that last bit. It wasn't all that soft until I put it through the extruder, and then all of a sudden it was just mush. That, or I just didn't cut it well enough, so let's try that again. Just going to recut this little bit here a little deeper. see if I can't pry that up there. Okay, that's a bit better. My edge isn't entirely smooth, but we'll try to fix that. All right. So the question here is, do I want to do the other one opposite, corner to corner opposite? Or do I want to do it here so that it's part of the pattern? And I think I will continue on with part of the pattern. So I'm going to butt this one up against the green on this side. And I'm going to push it down really well this time, in the hopes that when I try to cut it, it doesn't pry it back up. And sometime soon, I'm going to have to take this and put it in the fridge because it's getting quite sticky. So I'm trimming off that bit. And in the background, I've got my elbow on top of my triangle. So here's one of my triangles that I've now squished. Oopsie. I was wondering why. What the heck is under my elbow? All right, where was I? So I'm going to mark that. I'm going to mark this. Line up my two marks. And try to pry this off without. There. That's not too bad. Not as bad as the first time. Getting bits of red on my blue. All right. So here's where we stand. And I think I'm just going to do one more thing with my white. And then I'm going to put it in the fridge for a bit, because I don't want to lose all my shapes. So basically, we're going to do something similar with this. We need the right length, and that means I'm going to have to give it a bit of a stretch. I'm not quite long enough. It's also not the most clean white I've ever had, because of course I went and put the red through first without thinking. All right, so there's our length. One moment, please. All right, sorry about that. So there's the length that we need. I'm going to fix this edge. Obviously that doesn't do us any good when it's all yucky. And then just like we did with the red, we're going to cut this bit in half lengthwise, as close as we can eyeball it. Perhaps like so. And then we're going to figure out where to put it. So I have this pattern here. Maybe I should do the same by putting some white over the triangle on this side. What do we think that would do? Or would we rather... See, I kind of liked the idea originally of putting something here-ish. And if I cover it just from there to there, then it's an interesting contrast. It's not going all the way across the green, the center color. So the center color will still match up to an extent. I could put it down the center and separate these two squares. It's not that interesting, I don't think. So I could also go like this and just add it to this section here, starting from here to here. Just kind of what I did there. It's just kind of adding that little bit of interest. But I kind of like the idea, I think, of covering a little bit of the square. So I'm just going to take the full length and I'm going to match it up here, like so. And I'm going to match it up here. So we're matching the edge of the green, where the green meets the white. So we want that white to be continuous, square and around the corner, like so. And then we're just going to let it run out where it runs out. We're not going to trim it. We're just going to leave it covering part of the green and part of the blue. Why? Who knows? Don't know. Don't care. Just kind of like the idea of it. I want to see what it shows up in the pattern. it's all the mystery, really. It's all just interesting to find out what happens when you put these things together. And of course, we could get out a mirror and take a look, see if we can't see how it would look. Maybe we should, just for fun. Hold on one sec, I'll grab a mirror. All right, hopefully this doesn't give too much reflection because of the light. I know there is. You can see my camera. See, this is how I'm filming. So the idea here is to, I don't know if you can see that. Do I have that at the right angle? There, that's better. So this is kind of what's going to happen when we put these together. That's that side. That's that side. When we reduce it, because it's not totally flat, that's going to flatten out a certain amount. So the one triangle is probably going to end up smaller than the other triangle. This is this side. A little bit less interesting, I suppose. So that's kind of how we're going to end up. I do actually want to add some of this black as well. So I'm probably going to add some little black bits somewhere. Maybe I'll put it here on one side and put it there on the other side. And then, yeah, I think I'll do that now. I'll just get that over with. And I'll put the whole thing in the fridge and let it harden up a little bit. And then I will reduce the whole thing. And I will come back after it's reduced and we'll go from there. So let me just trim off all the yuckies. And we'll get it the right length, more or less. Okay, now what did I say I wanted to do? I said I wanted to make a stripe here. So we're going to kind of, oops, red bit. Red gets everywhere, it's horrible. So we're going to try and assume this is about the width of that square piece. I may not have eyed that up very well, but that's, oh yeah, actually I did. So we're going to stick that there. My length didn't work very well, but my width worked out okay. So we're sticking that there. Trim it off. All right, so that gives us something interesting on that side. And then we're going to do a little something on this side. Do I want to go from here across to here? I'm just going to cut a piece and see how it looks. So I can go from here to here, like so. Let's see if we can't see what that would look like. Can you see that? That might be kind of interesting. Do I want to do that on both sides so there's a little blue stripe? Maybe I do. I think I do. But I think that means I need this to be a little bit thinner. So I'm going to make this thinner. Like so. And then I'm going to try and get them the same width. So it works the same way on both sides. So there we go. I think that's all I'm going to do with anything today, as I said. So I think if I put that up against there, and then I put this one up against here, like so, we'll put it up against the mirror again, see what happens. Try to get it, maybe if I go farther down. Pick a spot that's not already smudged. So this is how it's going to look. So that's kind of a cool pattern. So we'll just push that down so that it's where it's supposed to be. For whatever reason, I guess our white wasn't totally centered because it's running not straight. So I want it to actually cover the red. I want it to go as far over as the blue. So I'm just going to make it work with my thumb. One side obviously wasn't quite centered. So this side works just fine. This side goes right to the blue. This side is a little bit off. It's not perfect. Obviously, maybe I didn't just cut it straight because I'm eyeballing, so my eyeballs are old. So I've stretched it with my thumb a little bit just to make it go, and by the time I smooth it or roll it or whatever, it should stretch right across to where that blue is and cover up the red. So that is where we're going to leave it for now. And I'm going to put it, as I said, in the fridge, along with my other things that are softening up. And then we will pull it back out, and we will see what kind of pattern we get. We'll reduce it down and see what we get for it. So this is basically how you go about doing something that's an extruded, I hate that word because I find it hard to say, extruded cane. And how the shapes, they don't fit perfectly together, obviously, as I complained about earlier. But you can play around with different things. And I mean, it has a lot of different shapes, as you can see here. There's all sorts of different things. So you could probably find ways to do octagons together, triangles together. If you did squares and triangles and lined them up the same way, you could make 3 boxes kind of thing. Possibilities are basically endless. It all depends on how well you know your geometry and how well you are at lining things up and putting things together. I just wing it like I do anything else. So toodles for now. I will come back and we will play around with this a little later, and we can actually decide if we want to keep it square, or we might have a lot of fun by making it into a triangle. Maybe we'll make this the flat end, make this the pointy end, and we'll change the shape of the whole thing, and that will change the shape of our pattern. So we'll see. I haven't decided yet. I like to play around. So take care. Toodles again for the 4th time now. See you in a bit.